Do you like Mario Party but wish it had more anime girls and violence? Then today's game might be exactly what you need. My name is Graeldon, I'm on an impossible journey to review every Steam game in alphabetical order, and today we're playing 100% Orange Juice. And now that I think about it, that one sentence actually kind of sums up the game quite nicely, so I guess we can just move on to the out of 10 rating and wrap up this review right away. But I suppose you want the details, right? Fine. Released on Steam on the 10th of September 2013, developed by Orange Juice and published by Fruit Bat Factory, 100% Orange Juice is the kind of game that creates a weird divide within me, because I can both understand why people love and adore this game, and be utterly bewildered by why people think it's fun. And the difference is as simple as nailing a card combination to destroy your opponent, followed by spending 10 consecutive turns doing nothing because you've been knocked down and not allowed to get back up again. Ah, the highs and lows of RNGesus. Hallowed be thy dice rolls. Now, I have to address the fact that 100% OJ actually has pretty widespread popularity already, having amassed over 14,000 reviews on Steam, averaging a very positive rating. This is partly due to the game having had a couple of free-to-keep weekends on Steam, which always manages to pull in more players, but even now it averages 100 to 200 players per day, which is impressive for a game that is old enough to be in high school. In fact, if you're watching this review, it's probably because you've heard of or played this game yourself, which makes this kind of weird to review more than 10 years after release. A lot of the longevity likely stems from the fact that there simply aren't many Mario Party style games available on PC. Pummel Party is the only one that I'm personally aware of, but I also only know about 1% of what is on Steam. And it doesn't hurt that 100% OJ also puts his own twist on the formula. So this video will be a little different, as it's less of a, hey, here's this unknown game, let's review it, and more of a, I'm an outsider that's only slightly fashionably late to the party, and it's impressive that it's still going, so here's what my experience was like. Cool? Cool. Speaking of other things that I've experienced, today's video is the first ever to be sponsored thanks to Divoom, who asked me to review the Pixu 64, a neat little pixel display designed to bring to life any room. Make sure to watch the review after the review to find out why I gave it a cozy campfire out of 10. Now, back to the content. From the outset, 100% OJ's presentation is clean and consistent, with a UI style that is intuitive to navigate while simultaneously being a pain to navigate, a feat to be applauded. This is partly due to the fact that I doubt the devs ever expected someone to be playing on a 4K monitor, as evidenced by the buttons that simply grow further apart rather than also growing in size, resulting in buttons that feel like they never got the memo that social distancing is a thing of the past. As another example, upon opening the game for the first time, I was presented with an optional tutorial to familiarize myself with the core mechanics. Although I thought I pressed the button to continue, I accidentally closed it, and then was unable to locate it in order to go back and read through it. I did find it eventually, and of course this game uses a 70-something page tutorial that details intricacies of all the game's modes rather than splitting it into smaller tutorials relevant to the game mode being accessed. Still, the actual mechanics of the game are intuitive enough that after a handful of turns you'll be punching seagulls with the best of them. Before we get into the wild and wacky adventure that is the single player mode though, let's take a moment to check out the menu and settings. Configuration is available before even reaching the main menu, and I have to say it's quite extensive. The system section allows you to customize everything game related, such as game speed, some streamer options, a profanity filter, and even the speed of character animations when moving, on a lovely scale from skipping through a field to impersonating a jackhammer. The screen section contains the language setting for some reason. I would have expected that in the system section, but whatever, at least we have it. You've got the standard resolution and window or full screen settings and some visual accessibility options which are always lovely to see. It's here that I noticed that the buttons to scroll the menu are, for want of a better word, pointless, as they scroll the menu a millimeter at a time. The sound section is nice, as I'm always a fan of being able to adjust music effects and voices separately. Sometimes you just want to play your own music, but still have the sound effects to help you stay tuned in to what's happening in the game. That said, as we'll see later, you could also choose to simply replace the music in the game, as 100% Orange Juice also has modding support, with a frankly absurd number of mods available in the Steam Workshop. We're not talking Skyrim levels of mods, but still far more than your average game. I also love that there is an option to change the VO for the announcer lines, with options ranging from cute girl to sultry girl,
100% オレンジジュース
or of course, token male.
100% オレンジジュース
It amuses me though that these options are in the sound section, not the voice section, so what's in there? Well, sliders control the volume for every character, of course. Every single character. It's a pretty extensive scroll list, and while I have to respect that they implemented this, I don't respect the way that they've done it. To quote every infomercial ever, there has to be a better way. Still, it's pretty funny that if there's a character that you particularly dislike, you can just outright mute them, and only them, so this is still a positive in my books. Overall, it's pretty comprehensive, but I lament the fact that they've not included an option to scale the UI elements, so I hope you brought your magnifying glass along for today's video. There are of course other menus in the game, like the shop, but we'll get to those later. For now, let's dive into the single player experience, as there are custom, multi-stage campaigns for each character, although you only have one available from the outset. I started with QP, a pudding-obsessed dog girl who according to the lore is actually 14 years old, and one of the 6 sweet gods. Not that it actually ever really matters in this game, but it does probably matter elsewhere, because like most of the characters here, QP got her origins in a previous game. Also, no one seems to know what QP actually stands for, so going by what we do know, I'm going to assume it's Queen of Pudding. And if that's incorrect, then, well, you're wrong. It's here that we're also introduced to the main antagonist and mascot for the game, Marie Popo, who serves as a catalyst for all the possible nonsense in the game. In this scenario, she bumps into QP and steals her pudding before running away. QP is joined by Kai and Yuki, and the first match begins. Right after you build a deck of cards to use. I know you're keen to see some gameplay, but this deck building mechanic is worth going over, as it's one of the biggest differentiators from similar games. Before going into a match, you can build a deck of 10 cards to take with you, which have varying effects that cover everything under the sun, from direct damage to teleportation to trap cards or buffs, or even things like extra currency or cuteness competitions. Extra cards can be purchased from the in-game store using currency earned from playing the game, so you might think this puts you at a disadvantage when playing against experienced gamers, but no. Because your cards are then shuffled in with those selected by your opponents, you always have a chance to draw their cards instead of yours, which is a brilliant way of leveling the playing field. There are also a number of blank cards added to the deck, which when drawn turn into your character-specific hyper card, which is like an ultimate attack. In QP's case, this is an attack boost that also prevents star loss if KO'd and automatically revives you on your next turn. Thanks to this mechanic, it is possible to draw more than your fair share of hypercards, but you can never draw your opponent's one, making each character from the incredibly large roster still feel unique to play. Without getting too into the details, there are restrictions on what cards you can bring, as some don't allow you to take multiples or have other rules, and you can even save deck presets, which is a lovely added convenience. Now that we've got our hands on a big deck, it's time to play. We've arrived at the first map, so let's go over the gameplay loop. Do you see these guys? They're not your friends. Never have been, never will be. Punch, kick, steal, throw high-powered missiles at their faces, or whatever else it takes to win. Your turn is simple. Roll the die to move and see what happens on the space you land on. Every tile has a different effect. Yellow ones give you stars, blue ones make you lose them, red ones make you fight things, green ones give you cards, and purple ones send you somewhere you aren't, but usually not where you want to go. Then there are the numbered spaces, which are the home spaces for each player and are super important. Firstly, stopping on one will heal you at the end of your turn, but more importantly, it will allow you to Norma if you meet the required criteria. For the handful of non-100% OJ players that made it this far, hi, hope you're doing okay, a Norma is basically a level up, but not called that because why not, right? To achieve your first Norma, you need to collect enough stars, after which point you can choose to aim for either more stars or win a number of fights for the next one, which is a lovely bit of player choice, allowing you to adapt to the flow of the game or just to play to your character's strengths. Achieving a Norma awards you a star, which are not to be confused with stars, the currency. Really, it's the difference between coins and stars in Mario Party. Norma levels are important for two reasons. Firstly, they allow you to play more powerful cards which are level gated to prevent players from using overpowered abilities super early. And secondly, the first player to achieve all their Norma levels is the winner. What makes this slightly trickier is that when you pass your own home tile, you get an option to choose to stop or not, but you aren't given this choice for other players' home tiles. You can still heal and Norma at them, but you have to land exactly on them. This allows for some fun tactics where you forcefully warp players to a new position right as they're within rolling distance of their home tile, buying you a few extra precious rounds needed to steal victory from them. Even if you decide to take the pacifist star collecting approach, you'll still have to deal with combat, either from other players or from various wildlife that appear after landing on a combat tile. Each character has 5 stats: HP, attack, defense, evasion, and recovery. Before a round of combat starts, you have a chance to play a card and gain buffs, assuming you have the Norma level and extra stars saved up to pay the cost required. Then, in true JRPG fashion, you set aside all rage and hatred in order to allow the instigator to take the first swing. No, after you, I insist. I deserve to be murdered. It's my fault I have 1 HP after all. It's not like you've attacked me multiple times in a row before this, but please, don't let that bother you. I wouldn't want you to feel any kind of guilt or remorse due to my untimely demise. If you're defending, you have 2 choices: defend or evade. Defend will reduce the incoming damage to a minimum of 1, whereas dodging will prevent all damage, but only if your roll is better than theirs. Anything less and you're taking the full amount. More often than not though, whether you attempt to defend or dodge, you're out of luck, so get used to being KO'd. Defeat awards half of your current star total to your opponent, even if they were an NPC, and triggers the final stat, recovery. This is basically the number that you need to beat on a roll to pop back up with full HP and stab that stupid Yuki in the back to get your revenge. Or to wallow in misery as you roll your 4th one in a row, skipping yet another turn. The required roll does decrease by 1 for each turn, so you are guaranteed to get back up eventually, but it can sometimes put you devastatingly far behind. The final twist to keep you on your toes is that after any player reaches level 3, the combat tiles turn into boss tiles. There are a few different enemies that could appear, but you will fight the same enemy no matter which tile you land on. This enemy will be deadly, and you are unlikely to be able to deal more than a single point of damage. This means that as a team, you'll be able to wear it down over time, but not before it KOs a few of you first. Should you defeat it though, you'll score a lot of stars and some bonus wins for your troubles. As for my personal experience, well, I got stuck for a while in the final level of QP's story in the fight against Tomomo. You see, the problem is that she cheats. A lot. When playing in single player, there are actually a few different difficulty levels to choose from, and I was playing on Original. I figured this would just impact the AI and how it prioritizes certain things or gives it a chance to make mistakes. But no, it straight up changes dice rolls. I wanted to know to what extent the RNG is manipulated, so I watched one of my matches back, and here's what I found thanks to the power of spreadsheets. Basically, Tomomo has an artificially inflated chance of rolling either a 5 or a 6. Rolling a 2 seems to be least likely for her, with number 1 slightly increased, likely for balancing reasons. It's also nice thematically as it depicts her character as an imposing one, but also one that is perhaps clumsy or prone to silly errors. But that doesn't make her any less frustrating to play against. And yes, it's definitely possible to beat her on the intended difficulty, but I'm a man on a time limit, and this was holding me back. So I'm not afraid to admit that I lowered the difficulty just to push onwards. And I have to say, it was incredibly satisfying, cathartic even, to witness Tomomo get the full 100% OJ experience by getting absolutely bodied by a seagull on her first turn. I get that some people want the true experience, but I personally don't find manipulated RNG to be as fun as just letting the dice rolls tell a story. It's the difference between a Dungeons & Dragons DM that thinks the best experience is to lie about dice rolls for the sake of the story, and DMs that understand that a story that adapts to the dice rolls is much more interesting and believable. And look, this isn't the first time AI cheats in a game. This has been going on since those rubber banding CPUs in Mario Kart 64 that somehow catch up to you when you're mid-mushroom boost. But for some reason, when it happens in a board game where everyone is meant to win or lose based on the whims of RNGesus, this feels uniquely personal when the AI stacks the odds in its own favour. At the end of the day, don't be afraid to lower the difficulty. No one has to know except you. And your audience, apparently. Anyway, to summarise all of the game's mechanics, roll the dice, collect stars, fight your friends, use cards for power-ups, and level up at the home tiles to win. Overall, single-player matches are a great way to learn the ropes, and you'll learn some stars to use for purchasing extra card packs and customization options. More on those later. However, multiplayer is the real 100% OJ experience, so let's take a look at how my rounds with the community played out. Firstly, I just want to say that all of you are awesome. We had an open invite and anyone that signed up or was present during one of the streams was able to join, so the fact that everyone was super chill is a testament to this community, so thank you. We must be the most relaxed crusade to ever exist. Now, thankfully, we can cut back a bit on the explanations because the good news is that the standard multiplayer games use basically the same rules as the single player games. As you're grouped with other actual players, you're likely to see panels, board layouts, and of course cards that you've not seen before, especially if you're playing against experienced gamers. The main difference is that turns now have a countdown timer, which is there to prevent games being held up by a trolling player. If the timer runs out, then the AI takes over and plays the turn for you. This actually comes in pretty handy if a player has an issue and disconnects from the lobby, which actually happened during our stream. The player is able to rejoin and would take control over their character again at the start of the next round. There are a few other quality of life things built in, such as being able to choose the exact map, modifiers and rules that you want, and even a spectator lobby for friends to be able to view the match, if you have more than 3 friends, that is. Winning, or really just participating in online matches, will reward you with oranges, and surprisingly, no, you can't make juice with them. But you can spend them in the in-game shop. So I guess it's about time we went on a fun little tangent to explore what you can buy in this game. Let me begin by saying, holy cow, this game has an extensive shop. And yes, we'll be touching on the DLC shortly, but let's first look at what you can earn in-game. The shop is fairly straightforward with a bunch of different categories across the top, dividing the items into cards, characters, and well, you can read. There's a bunch of other stuff. Let's start with the cards. You start with 5 different packs available and unlock more through events or as you progress through the game, each of which have different card rarities inside. You absolutely can draw duplicates, however when you reach a certain amount you can no longer draw that card, meaning that you are guaranteed to get the rare cards. Eventually. The first packs aren't too expensive, but mostly contain cards that you already have, and then the price goes up quickly from there, especially considering that you'll normally only earn 500 to 1,000 stars from a standard match. Characters are a different story, however. There are a handful that can be bought with stars, although they are at extraordinarily high prices compared to the cards, and you need to keep in mind that for single player matches, you are locked to the character of the story. You can only use these in multiplayer game modes. Most of the characters are unlocked via paid DLC, which again, we'll come back to soon. There are also a lot, and I mean a lot, of cosmetics available. Everything from clothing colours to different outfits or emotes, each of which need to be purchased per character. And then you've got the arcade area where you can spend currency on gacha style claw machines for a chance to earn an in-game pet, or more likely, a single-use emote item for multiplayer games. Now, you might be wondering where the heck the oranges come into this, and the answer is nothing that will help you progress in the game. Oranges are used to buy cosmetics and emotes. Nothing more, nothing less. which is great if you love the game and want to customize your favorite characters to your heart's content, but not if you're looking for something that will give you an edge to finally beat Tomomo the cheat. Post-recording Grail here. Hi. Turns out I did my research poorly and later discovered that you can indeed buy non-DLC characters with oranges. It's by using this poorly explained icon in the menu here, which at a glance looks like it would provide custom board tiles, but is actually a gacha-style summoning system. I completely overlooked this for almost 20 hours of gameplay, so either I'm just super dumb, or the devs could make it a bit more clear what this shop item does. Right, as for the DLC, yeah, actually we'll save that one for later. There's one more multiplayer mode to go over, so let's talk about that first and then we'll come back to it. A relatively new addition to the game, co-op mode takes the chaos of multiplayer and tempers it somewhat by having all 4 characters fight alongside each other in order to bring down a big bad. This is a great change of pace as it takes the pressure off, and each of the co-op boss fights are actually incredibly well designed. Each takes advantage of the new role system where players can designate themselves as an attacker, guardian, or support. These roles improve the more you use them and can also unlock more advanced jobs like the dealer by reaching certain milestone levels. Cards also work slightly differently, targeting the boss and their minions rather than other players, which breathes new life into familiar mechanics. Each boss also has unique mechanics that change over the course of the game, and often have unique win conditions as well, shaking up the formula on a fundamental level. Personally, I found this mode the most fun to play as it provided a nice change of pace compared to regular multiplayer rounds, and it's likely how I would introduce friends to the game. If you jump into a Discord call with your friends, it's a blast trying to come up with strategies on the fly to try and adapt to whatever BS the boss is about to send your way, only to have the best laid plans all go up in smoke because somebody rolled a 1 and got KO'd by a seagull. Or, more often than not, used Yuki's special ability and KO'd themselves. Classic Yuki. 100% orange juice is, in a sense, timeless. It's exceedingly simple at its core, dice rolling with simple combat added in, but that just gives it a solid foundation to build and expand upon. Thanks to the wealth of cards, maps, enemies, game modes, and characters, they've done exactly that. However, they've also managed to keep the presentation consistent and keep the gameplay balanced in such a way that traditional skill-based matchmaking systems that you normally see in competitive multiplayer games simply aren't needed. It doesn't matter how strong the weapons are that you bring to the fight if you're sharing them with everyone in the ring. So I have a massive amount of respect for the devs, especially because they are continuing to support the game with new updates as well. Trying to balance more than 10 years of updates is a monumental task, and I wouldn't be surprised if an experienced 100% OJ fan could tell me about 1 or 2 particular card and character interactions that are somewhat broken, but to have so few issues is a testament to the work of the dev team. Speaking of, they've even released a new April update at the time of writing called Chaos Mode that introduces new modifiers to multiplayer matches, so it's great to see that they're still working hard. However, with more updates comes more characters and, of course, cosmetics. The devs need to pay the bills at some point after all, and more often than not, DLC is the way to go. In the case of 100% OJ, there are currently 41 pieces of DLC ranging from $1.50 dues to $5.95 dues, which feels pretty acceptable considering that they often go on sale and will usually provide at least 2 new characters, each with their own unique abilities to play with. Even so, if I were a fan and wanted to get my hands on all the content, I'd have to hand over a bit over $170 dues to do so. As such, my thought was, well, wouldn't it be nice if I could at least try out the characters before committing to purchasing them? What if I don't like how their abilities and playstyle work? Well, my question was answered, as there are usually at least 2 paid characters in rotation at any one time that are available for free, so you can absolutely try them out and decide if they're worth the purchase or not. Now, if only I could buy Tomomo's dice to use for myself. The final thing I wanted to touch on is the modding scene, which is surprisingly extensive. Available through the Steam Workshop, you'll find all manner of cosmetic changes for the game, including new outfits for characters, new in-game music, or just complete graphical overhauls for everything under the sun. It's not going to be overtaking the Elder Scrolls games anytime soon in terms of sheer mod quantity, but with over 4,000 Steam Workshop items, it's doing pretty well for itself, and the community for the game seems to be alive and well. And it's not surprising, because there just isn't really anything quite like it on Steam. It's easy to understand why this game is so popular, even if the aesthetic and board game leanings may not be your personal cup of tea. If this were released on mobile with a different coat of paint, maybe Marvel or Star Wars, it would probably find a sizable audience. Also, come on, you know that having Stormtrooper variants as the NPC minions to fight would work so well. Heck, even a brand deal with a popular anime franchise would make a huge splash and send the game into the mainstream stratosphere. As it stands, a game focused on anime girls as the core aesthetic can be a bit divisive, and I wouldn't be surprised if I managed to lose subscribers over featuring this game in a review, let alone the extra I'll lose for actually liking it. And I wish I were joking. I lost subscribers 2 out of the 3 times that I streamed this game. It's okay though. We know their opinions are wrong. And on that note, that's why my final rating for 100% orange juice is Gamble out of 10. If you win, it's because you're skillful, and if you lose, it's because the devs hate you. But win or lose, you'll have a good time and a good laugh. Thanks for watching. Welcome to the end of the video. As always, thank you to all the members on screen for supporting the channel, and a special thank you to our Knight of the Holy Grail, Freaky Feline. Now for the review after the review, brought to you by Divoom. To be clear, this isn't an ad read, this is a review and my honest thoughts about the product. The Pixoo 64 is a 64 by 64 pixel LED screen that is designed to brighten up your home or office space with artwork or useful details such as the weather, social media accounts, or even stock market information so you can watch the US economy crash in real time. Please forgive my clumsy first attempt at an unboxing video that you can see on screen, because the Pixoo 64 was really nicely packaged and presented. From the custom outer cardboard box to the sleek inner packaging, the presentation feels slick and high-end, in line with what you expect when unboxing a new phone. In the box itself is the display, a USB charging cable, and attached to the back is a kickstand for being able to display it on your desk. There are also several pre-drilled holes so that if you wanted to hang it on a wall like an actual picture frame or mount it on a tripod, you absolutely could. To get started, you'll need to download the Divoom app and connect the Pixoo 64 to your Wi-Fi, which I found to be a straightforward process, only taking a couple of minutes. There are 2 main modes you can use, either clock mode or gallery mode. Clock mode uses the time and weather functions I mentioned earlier to make a great addition to a workspace, but the choice of interfaces seem limited as most have been made by Divoom and there are very few made by the community. The gallery, on the other hand, simply displays art and rotates through a selection of pieces at set intervals. The art itself can either be a static image or GIF, and I feel that the product is at its best when displaying animated art, as it's something unique that traditional framed pictures can't do. I love the vibes that some of the more scenic or landscape style pieces create, so that was my go-to. But if you just wanted to have retro game sprites or Nyan Cat on loop, you can do that too. That said, I would have liked a way to further customize the rotation of the display, as you can't combine clock faces with artwork. For example, I wanted to have it alternate between the 2 so that I can always keep an eye on the time. The app itself is a bit clunky to navigate, and it wasn't clear to me at first that art that you like goes into a separate list that can then be displayed using a preset function. It's not as intuitive as it could be, and I couldn't see a way to create separate albums for different moods or themes. Overall though, I think it's a great addition to a home or office workspace, especially if you're a fan of the retro-styled pixel aesthetic, and this will now have a permanent home in my actual office. With that in mind, my final rating for the Pixoo 64 by Divoom is a cozy campfire out of 10. It'll add a little extra warmth to your day, but it's a little tricky to control. If you'd like to pick one up for yourself, or maybe a gift for someone else, check out the link in the description to get an extra discount off your purchase, which will also help support the channel. Finally, I need to apologise for the long waits in between videos. We've all had a bit of real life stuff going on that's slowing down production, but we hope you're enjoying the content all the same. That's all for now, so if you've made it this far, here's a sneak peek of the next game. And until next time, take care.